Hello folks, and welcome back to True Stories with me, Sherry Wiens. I hope you guys are having a safe and happy week. Now today's story is the survivor story I've been promising you about April Giaque. Now what an amazing, wonderful woman. She was born in Ogden, Utah, and was raised by her parents and had close family that lived nearby. She had 4 siblings, 1 brother and 3 girls. She had, spent time growing up doing paper routes until she was about 17 years old, and she taught tumbling and cheerleading. As by all accounts, April enjoyed her childhood other than one huge traumatic incident that happened with the sexual abuse with a neighbor. She enjoyed swimming and gymnastics despite that horrific incident that happened over the period of a summer. I believe that she's a very strong person to make it through going through sexual abuse and carrying on to find love and not let that block her heart. She decided to be a missionary with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it was there that she had met Thad, and this man had sort of come from a past and a path of drugs and alcohol and many different partners and things like that. He was very honest and upfront about his past with her, and she felt that she could work with that. Admittedly, somebody who came from a troubled past, and although he was not even aware yet that he had some mental illnesses, it was later proven to be diagnosed that he was dealing with some pretty heavy issues. In 1996, April had met Thad. She had made a decision after hearing about his past that she would like to try to build a relationship with him regardless. Things moved very quickly. She was 22 years old when she had met Thad, and they had quickly moved into a relationship that lasted about 6.5 months before they decided they were going to completely get married and spend the rest of their lives together. Thad was a contractor. He built and sold homes, so their life was complete in a sense at this time. They felt very happy to be together and enjoy each other's company. Things started to go a little bit awry when she noticed that he would sort of start making comments about having another person to talk to in his business, about needing a partner, a business partner. And it wasn't long before he started mentioning a gentleman by the name of John, and that he needed to confer with John, and he needed John's help in order to continue to be successful in the building of and selling of the home and contractor business. After an incident of them watching a movie called A Beautiful Mind. A Beautiful Mind is a 2001 American biographical drama film based on the life of John Nash. He was a person that developed paranoid schizophrenia and endured delusional episodes while watching the burden of his condition sort of fall onto his wife and his family. After the movie had ended, Thad had made a comment to April basically stating that finally somebody understands what he's going through. Finally, there's somebody that gets the way that he thinks. And April suddenly realized that perhaps he may have some sort of mental issue going on, and starts to question him on, what do you mean? Or do you think that you have, another person inside of you, or you have a voice that you can hear, another personality trait that's developed? And he's basically admitting that yes, that is exactly kind of what's going on, but he at the same time was aware that if he was to admit that fully, his wife April might think differently of him. So he kind of fumbled and backtracked, and after sort of admitting that, it was an eye-opening experience and moment for April Giaque to realize, like, I don't know if my husband is completely all mentally stable. Now, Thad wasn't actually diagnosed until 2007, but with these incidents, she noticed different changes in him, that he was no longer able to really surround himself with noise. He didn't want it to be loud. He wanted things to be very, very quiet. At one point, after the fourth child was born, he lunged at the child to get the child to be quiet, where she blocked it and ended up receiving like 7 blows to the back of the head by Thad, because he just wanted the child to be quiet. He was no longer there like he used to be. He was neglecting them. They ended up moving in with family in hopes that things would sort of settle down in a sense. April describes sometimes her relationship as having a hurricane involved, and that meant that she could almost define when something was going to happen, because the eye of the storm would sort of, the quietness before the chaos would be there, and very noticeably as well. Various episodes in the family included, that he was threatening to drown the children, that he had a gun to the children's head. He would hold a knife to her throat. He would strangle her. The children's autistic behaviors had developed from very young. One of the children had started to draw pictures of the abuse that he was witnessing within the family, and it literally just broke April's heart to see these pictures depicting, her being put up against a wall, or her being hit, or some other traumatic incident. They managed to, survive in a sense, but at the same time, it was coming to a point where April was just not wanting to risk her children's safety and was very concerned for her own. In 2005, 2006, she had decided it was time to mention a divorce, and things started to get really crazy at this point. The father-in-law seemed to have some incidents and issues with his own son, Thad, and, was very much similar to him, pleading for April to not leave with the children and to just give him another chance. And, April basically knew that things needed to change. At one point, there was an incident where Thad and his father were driving, and an argument had ensued, and basically Thad had pushed his father-in-law, who was quite elderly at the time, out of the vehicle in the middle of a busy intersection. People had called the police because they had seen this incident, and they were concerned for the safety of the elderly man, which, the father had stumbled through the traffic and gone over to the school, which was nearby, to get some help and whatnot. Now, April's children actually went to this school, and so it so happened that she was in and around that area when it all had happened, and she basically had stated she was fearful for her father-in-law, for her kids, and for herself. And Thad was now coming to the school looking for all of them, and the concern was just very, very intense. April decided, when they were in that school, in that incident, when she had seen Thad looking through the doorway of the cracked blind, their eyes connected, and she knew that if she went home, things may not end up well where she'd ever be able to leave. In 2006, April finally decided she had had enough. Her and her children, she packed them up to leave November 28th, 2006. So she quickly got together her children, food, and her clothing at her home. She literally had about 8 minutes between the time of Thad arriving to the home to try to stop her or do something to her to get out of there safely. She was not wanting her father-in-law to stop her in any way, and therefore basically just cut the engine on the vehicle and rolled it down the driveway in order to successfully escape from her husband. Thankfully, she is safe and okay now. She had left to go to a safe harbor shelter from the school with the kids and stuff, and did not want Thad to be able to find her. Now, April was successfully able to get a protective order against her husband, and during one of the appearances in court, when she was trying to maintain having that order, where he started to have a mental illness episode right there in the courtroom, where the judge got to witness exactly what was going on. The episode that he had in the courtroom involved a personality of Mr. Thomas Jefferson, which is an old president, right? And he felt as though Thad was not a responsible person to, be able to have his children full time, and everybody will be safe and happy and healthy. In 2006, Mr. Thad was charged with stalking. He was looking for the girls to be closer with April, which she had successfully, managed to save them all and keep them safe. It was not something that she really wanted to have Thad in their life if he was not going to be stable. By 2017, he had literally begun stalking, trying to find her, was stalking other children in the area, other girls, and scaring people, following them into restaurants. And one of the restaurants was Subway, and the Subway owner actually managed to call the police and have this man arrested. April has successfully gone on to write a couple of books, actually. One that has already come out. The book that's already out is called Pinpoints of Life. So the way that the Author Academy Awards program or website works is that you can scroll and look through all the books, but if you click on one, it counts as a vote. If you're interested, you can go and check out, just Google even the book to read up a little bit about it. But if you're wanting to go ahead and put in a vote for this book, you can find it through the title Pinpoints of Life on the site Author Academy Awards. And once you click on that book, that is officially a vote for that book attached to your email. So if you would like to support April, I would encourage that you go over to the website and do just that. Now, April's gone on in 2009 to remarry and continue to have more additions to her wonderful family. She is now a total of 11 people, and she is thriving in her success as being a survivor from the heinous person who could have very well taken all of their lives due to his own issues. One of my questions to April was, what advice would you give to people in the dating world now to help them to avoid potentially going through something similar and choosing the wrong person, not realizing that perhaps they were dealing with some issues that weren't readily noticeable on the surface? And her advice to me, her response was to date for at least 2 years with no sexual relations, so that you truly give yourself the opportunity to get to know the person. Ask questions about their life, their extended family, and put them into some stressful situations where you're able to see how they handle things, and sort of do your investigation work. Ask about his family, ask about his history. Those stressful situations can help you determine whether or not you feel that this person is a good problem solver or good, solution finder. They're patient, they're kind. Knowing your self-worth, in knowing that you are light, you are the light of your own life. That you have value and have worth, and to just know that your foundation is sort of set steady. If you're missing stability in your life, you can sort of start to fix these things by restructurizing your life to be more valuable to the people that care about you around you. I hope that you enjoyed this video survivor update story, and I hope that you give it a like if you liked it, and I hope that you subscribe if you're new. We've got a lot more interesting stories to come. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this story. April Giaque is a wonderful, wonderful lady, and I know that she's going to want to read all of these comments. I sincerely applaud her for her strength in saving her children from a very bad situation and herself to move on to find love again and marry and continue to build her wonderful family. I thank you guys for watching True Stories with me, Sherry Wiens.